No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. We're going all the way so you can score more for your trade-in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV today. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
It's time for the Riley and Ridge Show, presented by Jackson's on Bronco Nation News. The Riley and Ridge Show takes you into the locker room and the coach's office, giving you a unique perspective on Boise State football from two guys who know a thing or two about what it takes to win on the blue. Combined, they have nearly 3 decades of coaching experience, none of which came from Riley Smith. But he played for the Broncos and won 52 games and 2 Mountain West championships during his 6 years. Kent Riddle won 7 conference championships during his 13 years as an assistant coach at Boise State and has 29 years of coaching experience overall. The Riley and Ridge Show is presented by Jackson's, where 25 cents from each hot dog sold goes directly to the Horseshoe Collective to support Boise State student athletes. Visit a Treasure Valley Jackson's location today. Now, here's Riley Smith and Kent Riddle for another edition of the Riley and Ridge Show, presented by Jackson's on Bronco Nation News.
Big week. Got Brock going into the Hall of Fame Saturday night. It was announced last year, but cool deal. And then a couple of the guys that were in the trenches with him, and by trenches I mean meeting room, locker room, field, the whole deal. Sorry, Donny. Go ahead, pull it. There you go. We don't want to screw that up.
Yeah, you guys are going deep in the archives with us old dogs. Going back about 20 years ago.
No doubt, but like it says, big week. Obviously, a ton of attention to the running back position at Boise State this year for good reason. But I think one of the guys, well, all the guys. I mean, Brock certainly was kind of the marquee guy of the group, but was really the first guy since Cedric Minter, so we don't want to leave him out. But, to kind of come onto the national stage a little bit at running back, and you wanted to get these guys out here and tell a story a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at Boise State just over the years, it's always been known as a running back school. Every single year, you have that premier running back, whether it's Doug Martin, DJ Harper, obviously Genty. I mean, you can go every single year.
Yeah, Ian Johnson, Jay
Jay Ajayi.
Well, there's four guys in the NFL right now playing.
Yeah.
Four former running backs.
Yeah.
Plus Scott Matlock and Avery Williams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if they're not a running back here, they turn into a running back.
So I got a story to tell first about Rid.
Oh, geez.
So for our first 2 years was under Coach Cutter, and we had a running back at the time. His name was Tom Nordquist.
Nordy, my guy.
Nordy.
Running back coach.
Yeah,
Get your head on the goalpost.
Yeah. So for anybody that knows Nordy and pardon my language, he was one of those coaches. He was kind of a hard ass.
Absolutely.
And so after Coach Cotter left and went to Arizona State, we're all wondering who's going to be our next running back coach. And we heard through the grapevine, we got this running back coach coming from Army. It was Army, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
And not only was he coming from Army, but he was roommates with Coach Nordquist back in the day.
We were the best men in each other's wedding.
Yeah. So I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, guys, this isn't good. This isn't good. We got this drill sergeant coming in as a coach. And we were out there on the field one day. We're doing 7-on-7 and Coach Rid comes out and he's got his hair slicked up perfect, has glasses on. I mean, he looks like a drill sergeant.
He was watching.
I'm like, this isn't good, guys. But turns out couldn't have been a better coach.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All I had to do was, just tone down Nordy a little bit.
It was funny this past weekend. We were both in Vegas watching Boise State UNLV game, and they were pulling up the archives of all the pictures of you guys when Rid first got in there, and then when you guys remade the picture. So it was cool to see us, especially Coach Rid with the glasses and the slicked hairs.
Well, and on top of that, we had Stroh, D. Mike. They're kind of part of the original crew. There were a couple other guys that were around for a little bit.
We had some one and dones.
You come and go.
But that was kind of the original crew. Cameron had a picture. I think we took in Hawaii with the whole crew, and we have that framed in our house, actually, somewhere. So
I remember that game. One of our big motivations was like, okay, guys, if we win the game, we get to go out afterwards. Like, come on,
I think we had the Sunday flight at 5:00 in the afternoon.
Oh no, I think it was like the red eye Sunday night. Yeah, because
So
we were
we were
at
not
Davey
gonna lose.
Malathon's house.
Yeah.
On the beach.
We were not going to lose.
That's awesome.
no.
There might have been 30 people stuck in an elevator. I mean, there was all. I've never seen so many scooters flying up and down Waikiki Beach. Like that was Hawk had great motivation. He's like, hey, we go over here, win, no curfew.
So
That is good motivation.
And we were all in bed by 10.
AM.
that game, I remember that game. It was a dogfight. It was.
God, there were.
I think 28-21 that we won.
Yeah.
Who was their DN that was a stud?
LeBoy.
Yeah, he
Travis
intercepted
LeBoy.
one with his bicep.
Yeah, that guy.
Timmy Chang.
I think that was before Timmy Chang. I think that was whoever. They had the big receiver though. It was like the first round draft pick.
Yeah.
And we had no answer. So finally, Ron Collins was the defense coordinator. He just told Quentin Michael, like, you go cover him. And it worked.
Ashley Lilly.
Yeah. Ashley Lilly. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's sweet. Well,
There were some dog fights over there that were unbelievable. I mean, to go back a couple weeks, like that was a huge win for the Broncos because it doesn't matter what they're playing like. You got to battle your own demons over there. Travel,
There's so many
like
distractions,
Yeah.
right? In the time change, and you want to be maybe doing something else.
well, now it's better because there's a charter flight home, so you have to leave after the game instead of we were on the commercial schedule when we went. But it was a lot of fun. So Yeah, no problem. So Brock, what are you doing now? Like all you guys, we'll kind of get to it, but what's your deal now? What are you up to?
I'll go into what I'm doing. So I got done playing. I think it was the last time I was with in 05 was the Washington Redskins, and remember at that point I'd done football my whole life, so grinded. And I remember my agent telling me, he said, he goes, if you want to go play Canadian football, I can have you a contract tomorrow. And I was like, I'm ready to move on, ready to do something different, still relatively healthy. So I decided to move on. Now what I'm doing is I work for a company called Engineered Floors. So we're a flooring manufacturer that is based out of Georgia. And I'm the territory manager for Southern Idaho. And basically what we do is we sell flooring on the wholesale side to all the local flooring contractors. And then I got my wife, Jackie. And then I got 2 teenage girls now. So 13 and 16. I got
you deserve that.
Yeah. I knew going into it. And, people be like, oh, don't you want to try for a boy? I'm like, no. Because 4 girls later, I'll be like, all right, I get it.
Yeah. So, yeah, appreciate it. Brock Forsey, Hall of Fame inductee this year. Donny Heck, same time frame. So what are you up to, Donny?
Yeah, great. Doing real estate. I've been doing real estate for 17 years now.
If you need a realtor, hit up Donny Heck LLC.
He's
a good one, I promise.
It's crazy when I start to kind of do the math. I'm like, wait, I feel like I was just here, and then I look in the mirror. I got gray hair. I got kids. I'm like, it's been, 2003 was my last year. So it's been 21 years since I was last on the blue, and it doesn't feel like that, but it is. So yeah, the real estate's been really good to me. Obviously, born and raised here, and it's been awesome.
Eagle High should bring up Brock, Centennial High.
Yeah,
they're crushing it on the football field still.
They're a real powerhouse these days.
Hey, we're hoping the demographics of the neighborhood changes.
Yeah, they got room for improvement.
Yeah, but Donny, a local Eagle High guy, and Swenny, we brought him in from Phoenix. So Greg Swenson put running back here also. Go ahead, Swenny.
Yeah, Greg Swenson. I was more of a pulling guard. That's when they had a fullback in
full guard.
Talking about playing Hawaii, I always loved that because their defense, they give up the flats, right? So that was about the only time I catch balls or get to touch the ball. So definitely enjoyed my time here, but still live here locally. I'm doing commercial insurance for a local agency, Higgins and Rutledge Insurance. They've been around for a long time, and I've been doing that about 20 years. Love being around and being local and being a part of Bronco Nation and going out and supporting these guys. That was a big time in my life. Certainly enjoyed the time spent together with these guys, Coach Ridd. Family was big, and out of our class, I think we had 22 guys, maybe 18 were from out of state, and I kid you not, 15 of them still live here, right? And it says a lot about this place, and we're all still really close and value that time we had together.
Absolutely, yeah. See these guys every couple months probably, and we usually meet up in an establishment like the James and
that's right.
Have a cold one or two, and it's great to stay in touch with these guys, and should see their kids now and families and all that stuff that they got going on. You did bring up one thing that brought a story to mind, like Swenny's opportunity to touch the ball. Besides Hawaii, where they gave up the flats, every Friday in Pat and Go, or really Thursday, right? Yeah. Thursday, Pat and Go, when RD would see how high and far he could launch the ball to Swenny and Stroh, the two fullbacks. We had the deal like you had to catch every freaking ball.
Or start over. Aqua's going to make you start over.
And RD used to
Oh yeah, there was he was going to make you work for it. He'd put it about 40 yards high, and you better run under that.
And meanwhile, he was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football, but
he was going to make you work and try and make somebody look goofy. So we had a good time out there, right? It's a lot of hard work, but you got to have fun doing it. And I think we did a good job of that, having fun, but yet when it was time to get down to work, we did it.
There's no question. I've never seen a group like have more fun together. And hey, trust me, I mean, the fact that there was no social media back then, probably a good thing.
Good thing. Yeah.
But to have guys like that when it was time to work really didn't matter the rest of it, like show up and work. Like Donny, when you had to run the maybe the only guy had to run the conditioning test. But Donny,
I passed.
Donny showed up and passed.
That's right. I
There were just too many good days to raft.
Yeah,
right?
too many good days to raft, too many good lake days. Pitt browbeating me, I'm rolling in. Hey, don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine.
Yep.
Pass the run test, and on with it we go.
It was worth it going to the lake for a day, right? Just to run the run test.
Damn right.
one thing that I kind of take pride in, like looking back on it, and with all you guys, at the time when we were at BSU, our program was just starting to build a winning tradition to where we were starting to get nationally ranked, and we didn't have all the amenities that when you go there now. So a couple of weeks ago, I had our regional vice president come in town, and he's like, I want to do a tour of the facilities. So we took him through, and he's like, man, this is amazing. Did you love all the stuff? I was like, none of this was here when I was here. This is all new. Like,
Meeting in the I wasn't there when you guys used to meet in the racquetball courts. Right?
oh gosh.
We actually had a meeting room that we could roll the projector into and whatever. And then it got a little nicer.
Yeah.
Stadium.
Our first team meeting, so we would do individual meetings underneath the stadium in these looked like a little cement hole. We do our team meeting in the wrestling room. And then by our senior year, we got we got rid of the metal lockers, got the wood lockers. We're like, man, we've made it.
Yeah.
Like this is, and we're just trying to get replacement gloves and things like that. Old Dale, he was a little stingy.
You talk about Dale, and Dale, he would not give you an extra shower towel. You had to turn one in. One of the best stories I can remember is guys every once in a while would sneak a little of their laundry into put it on the
little
clip that we had, right? And I can remember Dale came out and he was steaming and he was yelling at Donny because Donny had, I think, like 15 pair of underwear on there and a couple pairs of clothes. And Dale's just ripping into Donny, and all of a sudden everyone starts looking over, and Brock just yells out, "Hey, that's my underwear!" and Donny and Brock were roommates, but apparently Donny was wearing his underwear.
We didn't have a washer and dryer in the house, You could either steal some whitey tighties from your roommate or you go commando. But I feel like that was the right thing to do.
That was the right thing to do.
Well, and one thing I noticed too, like when we were in the weight room a couple of weeks ago, they got like a full food bar. You got fruit and sandwiches. Like we were just living off like Burger King. Whatever
the diet's a little bit better these days.
Yep.
Not only that, like every morning before practice, there's like food there.
Right.
Every day after practice, there's lunch. And then
too.
Riley, like three days a week, come back for dinner.
Yeah. We're spoiled.
It's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not Burger King. It's,
right.
It's some pretty good restaurants
the best
around
was COVID.
town. Yeah.
During COVID, it was like we couldn't like go out and get food. So instead of like catering everything, they would just like let you go to the restaurant and order whatever you wanted pretty much. Well, there was some limits to it, but like guys like John Ajuku would order the whole restaurant and he was getting us all in trouble. So we had to take our privileges back a little bit. But there was a time where it was
OJ's probably still like the Tennessee Titans are probably still like, Jesus, OJ, like
going through gallons of milk.
Only one.
Yeah. Insane. But
Yeah.
we definitely got spoiled. We talked to all the guys that come back, like Matt Navis was on, and he was like, "Oh, didn't even get a bagel," and so it was like now we're having IHOP breakfast and different stuff. But it's from you guys, so we appreciate you guys laying down that foundation for us to be able to get the opportunity to have stuff like that. So.
I mean, that's the kind of the way it should be, it's
it is.
And that's where you continue to see college football evolve, with guys being able to get the meals they need, be able to take care of themselves, and kind of gone to a different level now, but
without question. But I think back to like the early days, and some of the probably stuff you guys had no idea was even going on, but like Dirk and Hawk, when you guys were playing, like fighting just to get you guys like chartered planes and
right.
Stuff like that. And the great thing here, like over time, it's all become. It was a battle, and every head coach was part of that battle, and Gene and Kurt Apsey and Mark Coyle and Jeremiah like stepping up, and Bob Custer for sure, and Dr. Trump, but all them stepping up like to make this happen over time. And hey, trust me, I'm sure none of it's easy, and there were a lot of no's along the way, but to get that here and to see the resources these guys have now that allow them to perform on Saturday or Friday. Such a huge deal. Or when we played like Tuesday, Thursday, like didn't matter. Like
Whatever. Yeah.
Well, it's all things too that help benefit the student athlete.
absolutely.
Like
No question.
make sure that they're well taken care of. Make sure that they're not worried about food. Those are all good things.
No doubt.
It's neat to see where the programs come from, right? And see everything that is available to student athletes. I remember back in the day, maybe that was my junior year, we got that nutritionist. Do you guys remember that?
Yep. Hillary?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh
And
yeah.
she was a stickler. In our pregame meals, she wasn't going to allow butter. And I sat at the O-line table.
I
with
do believe she
Dinwiddie
tried to
and
cut out like chocolate chip cookies too.
Yeah,
'cause
she was cutting everything out. And it was funny because then you'd sit there and Coach Pittman was having the toughest time because he'd eat that bacon and butter sandwiches, right? At breakfast. He would bring his own stick of butter. One day he broke that out from underneath the table and had his own stick of butter, and you'd never seen no lineman so happy.
Those are the kind of stories that need to be told.
Yes, they
Right.
do.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Because we had Hillary too for a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's funny. She let us have butter, but I can't imagine.
Boiled chicken and no butter.
What are some of your best like game memories? All you guys.
You go first.
Game memory. Well, my best game
It
memory.
should be Hawaii.
It was Hawaii. I finally got the start and finally got into the end zone 4 times. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
We also got to stay the night because there was no charter plane there. That was sweet. lots of fun on the beach and everything like that. I would say that the second one too was as a high school guy. We watched these Thursday night Mountain West games, BYU, Colorado State, and Boise State was definitely a tier below them at that point, and I was just like, I really want to play on a Thursday night. I want to go in there and kick these guys' ass for sure. And we finally got our opportunity, and we went into BYU on in 2003, snowing hard, and we waxed them. It was such an awesome game, and a game that kind of put us up there and made us climb the ranks. So that was those
The
two
only
games.
points they scored that game was our long snapper put one past the punter, and that was the
a
only
little
time,
deep.
Yeah,
little
that's
deep.
the only time they got on the board, and I
really?
think we hung 60, 70 on them.
I don't know, but
And so that felt good to
yeah.
do that to BYU,
Yeah,
and go
yeah.
down to their place and do that.
Definitely.
Absolutely. That was a huge one. I think RD, we could talk about him probably every game, but Gilly, that game had 280 yards receiving.
He balled out.
Yeah, I mean, it was just fun. There were so many games like that, though, right? I mean, it wasn't just one time we blew out BYU, or I mean, we beat the brakes off a lot of.
Somebody was talking about Idaho State when they did the Broncos stomp on our in the middle of the field. And I think we'd gotten into it the previous summer downtown during the Riverfest.
That was a rumor. That was a rumor,
right? And they came and they were ready to play. And I think we 77. Was it 77?
77 was San Jose.
Was it? Okay.
That was when they stopped.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they punted the ball. Remember, into our warm-ups, and it was that was I don't know. We were kind of ready to play, but maybe not ready to play, and they, for whatever reason, decided they needed to punt the ball right into our warm-ups, and like the whole team.
I can remember Fresno State would throw potatoes at you when you'd walk down into their stadium, and I think I remember one time Rid maybe got in a little scuffle with the tuba player. Right, their marching band
could have happened.
Ran into the back.
Could have happened. Gabe Franklin.
I thought you were going to take that guy's tuba and throw it in the stand.
Tried.
No, that's a good one. So Fresno, I can't remember if it was the 2002 or 2003.
No, it was 2001 when we played. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm talking about when Kenny G played the national anthem.
That was 01.
That was 01. Yes.
So I'm like, I'm like, holy shit, we got Kenny G over here. He's gonna play the national anthem. I'm over there, kind of like, whatever, kind of talking to him, like shaking his hand or whatever. And I'm like, it was like, oh, this is unbelievable. I roll back in and Hawk, and usually Hawk's like smiling, like give you a high five or whatever, and he's just like lost his shit on me. He's like, well, yeah, you got Donny over here hanging out with Kenny G. I was like, yeah, I didn't. What was I gonna say?
He's over there trying to play the flute with Kenny G.
All I remember from that is I was standing by Strauss and Scooter and Rusty Colburn, and Rusty was like, "This is awesome. Kenny G's out here playing the national anthem." And Scooter looks at him and he says,
Sounds about right.
Yeah. It would have been much better if had we had Metallica for Scoot.
Yeah. So for me, like when I look at my career, if there's one game that I would say is like would go down as one of the best games, it was actually that Fresno game. It was an absolute dogfight from the time it started. We were clearly underdogs. They were ranked top 10 in the country. We get the opening kickoff, drive down the field, score. They come back. So they took a 21-7 lead. Like, all the announcers are saying, no, this game's over. When are they going to put the backups in? So right before halftime, Jeb Putzer scored a touchdown, got it within a 7-point game. And then the second half, it was back and forth.
Bounce off like 4 guys.
Yeah. So Swilly, so I scored a touchdown on the play before. It was an option play to Dinwiddie. And for some reason, I thought could jump really high. So I jumped over a guy and scored a touchdown to tie it up. And then our next possession, Jay Swilly bounced off a guy, took it like 70 yards to the house. We go up 7, and then it goes into the fourth quarter. David Carr is marching down the field. They get the ball. I think we were up by like 4 points, so they had to score a touchdown. And I think they were on like the 15-yard line when time expired.
Well, they had like the third down, right?
Yes,
we sent 12 guys onto the field on defense. It got a penalty. It went from like 3rd and 8 to 3rd and 3. And I think Sass got a sack on 3rd and 3.
Yep. But it was set up by Quentin Michael. because he took their defensive or their offensive tackle and just took him and drove him straight into Derek Carr, and then he fumbled the ball and Sasser fell on it.
Yep.
But I mean, that was the game that kind of like, it was momentum changer for the program.
Absolutely.
And
Not
from there on out, actually that year we didn't go to a bowl game.
No.
That was the one year we didn't.
Yeah.
Leave no doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
because we lost La Tech.
yes.
That was
yes.
the brutal one.
That was a miserable game.
That was rough.
But you talk about that, Brock, and it was a mindset after that. I can't think of one game, no matter if we were up, tied, late in the game, we always thought we were going to win, right? Like there was no question. We thought we could score in 45 seconds.
And we did.
Anytime, right? And so, yeah, we had a good defense, but our offense felt like they could score on every play. It never felt like you were out of a game.
Except for our first game the following year against Arkansas.
Yeah.
Hey, we almost had them.
We're only that close.
That was we went shotgun punt. That was a bad decision. but-
Cowboy punt.
Cowboy punt, whatever it was.
Yeah.
The special teams coordinator.
So Dinwiddie, he breaks his ankle in the
On-
first half
on
of the
Cowboy
first game of the year. And then we're like, okay, BJ Rohde's taking over. Like, yay. The guy stepped up and balled.
Oh yeah.
Brody balled out.
Yeah, he went on to win, the next 7 straight games until Dinwiddie got healthy. So it was the next year we were playing Fresno State at home, and Dinwiddie went in for Rohde in the second quarter, and he was just throwing darts.
Oh,
He threw
I think
for
it was
like
24.
Yeah, it was stupid.
400 or something, and telling the guy, literally yelling at the Fresno sideline, like at the end of the game, like, quit pressing. Yeah. I do have to give a shout out to Kaylee Riddle,
Haley says hi.
who says, hi, Dad. So, hi, Kaylee.
And then
Very cool.
everyone else.
Babysitted for Donny this summer. Yeah. All these guys have known Kaylee for a long time. And, so
If you got in trouble back in the day, you had to go over and help babysit Rid's kids. That was I don't know who
that was the worst.
them or
That was worst punishment Donnie ever had.
Yeah.
So that's the way Connor is.
Except-
That's why.
Yeah, right.
You guys
Except-
babysitting him.
No, except the worst part was it didn't really even bother Donnie.
Like,
Just-
well, just it'd be at my
just got
house
a
at 8
little-
in the morning.
Yeah, he just got a little bit shorter sleep.
Yeah.
It was better than making you go to commitment time.
Yeah, the commitment time was, whatever. I probably just didn't even go. But, it's Saturday morning, 8 o'clock at Rid's house.
No, you always showed up. That was
Maybe
never an
sneak
issue.
over and try to find a couch that was out of the way. Maybe try to take a snooze. Well, then Cameron, Rid's wife, would come over there and say, "What the hell are you doing? You got to play with this baby. This is your punishment." So it was great, though. Yeah, it was an
Yeah,
awesome time.
It really was. We really did have a special group, and I think it's always the people, right? But then the times were different. And, we were talking about it earlier, obviously a little bit, but everybody wasn't wrapped up in the NIL and
Right.
all that stuff, and we're just trying to figure out a way to win again next week, and that really didn't always start until Monday. Had to get through the Sunday correct and review,
Yep. Maybe start over.
and watch
if you weren't
Donnie and Scooter like run around in the helmet mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there were
We need to get that thing back out.
Hammer. I feel like I saw Hammer drive it a few times. It's always the same guys. RD maybe took it for a spin. That was basically Sunday practice. Line up and we correct like the 3 mistakes when you scored 60. And be like, all right, that's it. And then, Monday we'd crank things up a little bit, and guys were freaking ready to practice and ready to compete. And I think that, that's the big thing. Like your era started and has really continued on through the years. Is just how to prepare on a daily basis.
Sure. One thing that like I would add to what you're saying is one thing that I liked about your coaching style is every game that you went into, you made sure that, we were prepared. You taught us good technique, but you didn't overcoach to the point where you were worried about screwing up. Like you went into the game, you knew what you were doing, you felt prepared, but you weren't worried about screwing up. And I think like sometimes as coaches, they just try and drill so much, like just freaking go out and play. Like don't like put so much pressure on a guy to where he's worried about making a mistake rather than making a play. And that's one thing that like I definitely enjoyed like playing under you.
Well, that was one thing I always figured out, and really even went back to Army coaching running backs. Like it's very easy to like pause the tape and say, "Oh, you should have done this."
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, it's happening at a lot different speed when you're playing full speed. Like, hey man, I don't know, go get 5 yards, we'll call it good. Like we can talk about, hey, maybe next time you should have done this and might have got you 20, but if you make a 5-yard run, nobody's pissed.
Right.
And I would say this, all these guys, I mean, that was kind of their mindset all along. Like, you can't stop me for less than 5. I mean, we were joking a week or two ago. I don't remember when it was, Riley, but goal line used to be like the easiest thing ever to plan for.
Yeah.
Because we just line up in Giants and call like 22 wedge and hand it to Brock, and he'd dive in from anywhere inside the 5. And it was like, I don't know, just give it to Forsey. Like Strauss and I used to laugh about it. Pete'd be like, do we get anything else? Strauss would be like, do we need anything else?
What if somebody stops south, right?
Be like, what if somebody stops it? I don't know. Nobody has.
So Pete told me when he first got to BSU, when he came over from Oregon, he was talking to somebody like in the administration, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry." He's like, "They have a good running back. They have a good quarterback. Like it's a solid team." And Pete said he walked out one day and he was watching us practice, and he's like, "Really? That's the running back?" And he's like, "And then I watched you play, and I was like, okay, like, but just from like first glance, he was like,
he may have made some Alfred E. Newman references. He's like,
yeah,
that's our guy.
Yeah, like
coming over from Oregon. Yeah, it's a little different. And then he was like,
yeah.
Like about a week into practice, he's like, we got to figure out how to get that guy the ball more. And then in all seriousness, like became like, well, we got other good players too. Like we need to figure out. So we did a lot of stuff with both you guys, with D-Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That was where some of the personnel stuff came from, was, hey, we got all these guys and they're kind of all stacked up here. And then we need to use these guys. And, we're using Stroh as a tight end. We're using Stroh as a tight end when he was a fullback, and then getting Swenson in there. It was like that's where all the personnel stuff came from. It was like, how do we get the best guys on the field all the time?
Right.
And sometimes it was more receivers. Sometimes it was more running backs. But I think that was one of those things that, I think about like some of the counter screens we did. Like you had a big one maybe against Idaho or Washington State, or it was in that stadium. But,
let me know. What was it? I don't know. But I'm sure it was awesome.
We hit that, we faked it, countered Brock. Donny was like he was cutting off the backside through the screen.
You did catch a touchdown from TJ Aker.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. TJ's got a great arm.
Yes, he does.
But there were a lot of times we'd have 4 or 5 running backs
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
out on the field at once.
Having fun and messing around. And, as long as the guys handle it, that was the big thing. And, yeah, of course, we knew maybe, hey, we're going to have a chance to have some fun this game.
Yeah.
Do some stuff that was fun. I always thought that was great. And then, just the ability to reward everybody that, put in such hard work and get out there and do some stuff. And thought we were, maybe not perfect at that, but really good. And then over time, different guys had to step up. Brock was gone, I guess, but Donny and D-Mike both stepped up in different games and, all that stuff. But yeah, I think often about how easy goal line used to be. Like we literally just be like, yeah, that's it. That's what we got.
Yeah,
We're going to punch it in one way or another.
Yeah. We kind of took that over too. Like last year, we had George, Ashton, and then Tyler Crow. So we had like 2 speed running backs, and then T. Crow is like kind of the fullback type guy. Like they would always be on the field. Like our personnel list just kept growing and growing, kind of like you said, Rid, where it was like you have all these special guys that can make different plays, and finding ways to make them successful was really fun, and getting creative with it was pretty cool.
I think that's, and you guys could speak to this because you've heard it, but hey, if you can do something and do it well repeatedly, we'll find a way to use that. And it for everybody it was a little kind of different stuff. I mean, Swenny was uncoverable in one-on-ones. Like, nobody has ever stopped Swenny running the option route.
And he could cut the legs out of Buddy like nobody's business. He had that low center of gravity. He
Right.
just
I didn't have to go down very far. Yeah. But the goal was make it a clear choice for the running back and let them do their thing, right? Like open a hole, get out on the edge, get somebody down, let them make their moves. And I think that's what was special about Brock and Donny and D. Mike is they made plays, right? And,
we were supposed to have D Mike here tonight, but
yeah.
that guy was a stud.
Yes.
You must have an early workout group at Rock and Armor tomorrow morning. So
Got to put in that work. Can't get punked.
how about just not best game, but like best memories.
So for me, probably I wouldn't say there's one best memory. I would say just probably like, as a whole, like being able to spend 4 years with, an amazing group of guys and, build that bond, like Donny, Greg, D. Mike, all these guys still live here. We still keep in touch, like, Donny and Greg and their family, they're busy doing their things. But when we do get to hang out, we just pick up right where we left off. So I would say there wasn't like one special moment. It was just overall like kind of building that bond and that friendship.
Absolutely. We hate to leave Stroh out of that too, because I'm sure he's watching.
Yes.
Stroh was like the
I'm going to get a call tonight and be like, Brock, what the heck, man?
Stroh was like the grandfather in the room. Like,
He would
make
keep
sure
everybody in
everybody's-
line in meetings, right?
Take care of everybody. Make sure everybody knew what they were doing, which was very important.
That's why we call him the senator.
Stroh really should have run for office. It's not too late, Stroh.
Right.
Maybe you can get in on Tuesday. But no. How about you guys?
I think that, look, I don't really have one specific thing, but I think every time somebody, from one of my kids' sports asks me, what was your, how was it? I'm like, man, what an amazing experience it was to play there. We won a lot, which makes everything easier. But also, Coach Cutter, he recruited me, but then he was gone after a semester. But every year or 2 years, I'd see him in McCall and we'd catch up. And same thing with, obviously Coach Pete rolled in. I'll go 2 years without seeing him. We catch up, we'd see each other. And this bond has lasted years and years and years. And still to this day, when I see him, we just kind of pick up and start talking. And Coach Cutter knew me for one semester. And then he was out, and we still, like, to this day, like, I see him and it's like, hey, how's everything going? How's your family? Blah, blah, blah. It's good. Obviously I get to see Rid all the time, which is so cool. I talk to other players that are like, hey, you ever talk to your, position coach? And they're like, no, man, last time I saw that guy was the last day I played. So I think we have it's a special thing that we had at that point. My high school career to my college career, it was just like we won a lot of games, we had a lot of fun, and it was a tremendous experience for sure.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to those relationships. When you're playing college football, you spend a lot of time together, right? You're sleeping in the locker room in between 2-a-day practices back when you had 2-a-days. we had a lot of fun in the locker room, joking and horsing around. But then we got down to business, and I think that was the fun thing, was winning the championships. I mean, we didn't lose a lot of games, and we had fun together, but then we had fun winning championships. And to me, that's what it's about, and it's fun to see Boise State continue to do that. And to be honest, both my older brothers played college football in the MAC, and I talked to them, and they'd come visit when I was playing, and their teams never had the bond like we had, right? And it didn't matter if you were a senior or freshman, we all hung out together, every single weekend, and I think that was special.
Yeah, I think that's carried over, like, to when we're playing now, and especially we talk about like embracing the suck, because like my memories thinking back are all like the shitty times when we're running decks or doing fall camp, and you're thinking about you're being with your boys and like you make it fun, and like talking about Coach Ridd's coaching style, like you knew when to have fun, and then you would go out and you would do your thing, and you were building relationships and being with all your best friends. So I definitely think that's something that's special here at Boise State for sure.
There's no point in, well, a few years ago, I guess you can make an argument there's point in playing now, but there's no point playing if you're not enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you have to enjoy every minute of it, but you have to enjoy your part of it. And I would even say that to like the guys trying to play now, and if you're getting a ton of money and all that stuff, like, and that should be a bonus. You're getting a bonus.
But here's the thing with those guys that are getting all this money, they don't know how to stretch $450. I mean, that's an art that we all learned.
That $650 scholarship.
$650?
Yeah,
I thought it was $450.
Hey, but
$515 my senior year.
after rent and bill, okay, maybe I was wrong.
They have to force you.
Maybe I was on NIL before.
Wait, how much was yours?
I was going to say I never heard of 650. That's a new number, but there is something to that, right? Like you kind of learn to scratch by and figure out how to make your own deals, like dinner at your resties, right? Get some stuff taken care of.
You went out in the summertime and you worked to try and make enough money to get to supplement you all through the year. I mean, I peeled logs. I remember Coach Pitt, I got this great job for you, Swenny. And he's telling me and Dave Oldham, another D lineman, and I'm going, okay. And I see these other guys, they're working at like Tate's Rents and setting up tents.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what are we going to do? Well, I was peeling logs for a log home builder with a draw blade, and then had to go lift weights after. And he got paid by the foot. So, but you put in that because that was part of the deal, right? And you wanted to be there, and you wanted to be there for your teammates, and
Can we,
all worth it.
Speaking of lifting weights and Coach Pitt, can we revisit the greatest weight room story of all time? and at least your recollection of it, because mine might be a little bit
I
different.
think we need to let Donnie explain this one.
Yeah, that's probably
The story changed a couple times over years.
That's why.
Was it when Greg got out of doing decks?
Yeah.
Well, except he actually didn't get out of doing
Well,
that.
he didn't get out of decks. So there was that was the last practice, the last day. You're going to do the 20 decks or whatever it is, and Pitt's like, well, you know, Swenny, you dance on this box for an hour, and you don't have to do the decks. So
Wow, the whole team's working out.
Yeah. So they brought out the biggest box they had, which is pretty big. You know, it's probably 4 foot tall, and Greg danced the whole time, no problem. But by the end of it, he was sweating bullets, and probably he was starting to cramp up a little bit. You know,
Well,
lot of
that's
dancing.
what Pitt wanted to make this deal with me, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he just kept hammering me. He's like, do it, Swenny, do it. Quit being a chump. And so I'm like, all right. And I'm like, well, we
Word
go
is
out
censored.
on the weekends, right? We go out on the weekends, and people are dancing, whether you're at Bokie's back in the day or one of those spots. And I thought I could do it. And I tell you what, I was sweating so bad. And about 40 minutes in, hamstrings were starting to cramp. It was a long workout. I mean, that's before jazzercise.
It may have been a rough night the night before, too.
Yeah.
In your defense, though, you are an amazing dancer.
What was your go-to move?
You just had to mix it
You
up.
just
sprinkler.
Maybe the Tootsie Roll. But it was, and then I got done, and Pitt says, Swenny, you're not getting out of decks. You're still doing them. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not doing it. Like, go rest and do it. And I'm like, I'm out of here. I am going home. You can dock me for a workout. I'll run, do whatever I got to do, but I'm not doing that. All right, at least do the warm-ups. So I did get out of it, but my hamstrings hurt for a week. It wasn't just like one box. I mean, Swenny was up there in the rafters. I think I had to hang from the rafters a couple times to let my legs rest.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was an hour. Was it not all 3 weight groups?
No, I think it was like an hour and a half.
That was it? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, this story's taking on a lot of different versions over there.
Well, if you ask Coach Pitt, he'll have a few things.
He always does.
Right?
Pitt's rationale about storytelling is, hey, you got to figure it out.
Yeah,
like
right.
10% of it's true. You got to figure out which 10%. I'm trying to think. So, all right, we got a bunch of running backs here. What are you guys thinking about Ashton, the Boise State team? Like, obviously the offense runs through Ashton. Phenomenal job by Maddox last weekend, but the offense runs through Ashton. Like, what are you guys' impressions of him?
He's a stud. To be honest, and we talked earlier about all the good running backs that have been through here, and I'll talk to friends from high school that are out of state that'll catch a game, and it's like he doesn't break one tackle, right? He might make a move, break 4 tackles, hurdle a guy, spin off a guy, and then run 70 yards. Like, he makes it look easy, and I think that's the most impressive thing about him. And I'll tell you what, the O-line has been fantastic with some of the injuries they've had. Coach Keen's got them dialed in. That's been fun to watch, right? And people are packing the box.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still doing his thing.
It's almost good that, like, people are putting everybody up in the box. You get through the first level, it's over.
It is.
Well, and not only that, I mean, you have teams that their whole focus is to stop Genty. I mean, you see Maddox, he's got receivers that are wide open. So just by him being able to, be such a heavy impact on defenses trying to stop him, it opens up a lot of other things. And then like with Genty, it's like, okay, yeah, that guy, he runs downhill, runs super hard, breaks tackles. But then once he gets through, he takes angles away. I mean, he's taking angles away from cornerbacks, guys that are running 4.4s. Like, I don't know what Genty runs, but he doesn't get caught. Like, it's pretty impressive. Like, if I was lucky enough to get through the line, I was getting caught about 10 yards later.
and you'd hear about that for 3 weeks.
I actually happened to watch. God, I think it was the Iowa State game. Maybe Brock got loose and got run down like 35 yards later or something. And
sounds about right.
Out that day,
it was cold.
Yeah.
The boosters were happy though when we threw the touchdown pass at the end though.
Oh yeah, that was the one that Lou caught. I remember.
We were trying to get Stro Daddy a touchdown.
Did he ever actually get a touchdown?
I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he did. Swenny was in on that play too.
Yeah.
It was going to go to either Swenny or Stro. We were feeling really good about it, and RD's like, "No, fuck it, lose open."
Yeah. Right. We did cover a lot of spreads though back in the day.
I believe it.
Oh, and the spreads, back then they weren't too crazy, but then they started getting ridiculous. We kept covering. There was a lot of people that made a lot of money back in BSU back in the day.
Tell them about the guy that sent you that letter. Didn't there wasn't a guy that sent you a letter that thank you so much, we bet the farm on you. And with snail mail, like, Brock, you got a letter. I
got some random letter from some anonymous person, and he was just like, hey, I just want to thank you for everything you guys did. I'm thinking oh, this is nice. And he's like, you made us a shit ton of money. I'm can I get some of that?
We had that, and I believe you guys had one of the greatest voicemail when we had the voicemail machines of all time, right? Thought Donny thought you got seriously injured at La Tech.
I don't know what it is.
when he cramped up.
Yeah. he was punching lockers. He wouldn't calm down.
He was a really bad cramp.
He was telling him to calm down. You thought he broke his leg.
You ever been down to La Tech? I had never been really, east of Caldwell, and then we land in a place like Louisiana Tech. I'm like, holy shit, this is different here. Yeah, I should have probably drank a little more water. I don't know.
So we watched the game. It was on like ESPNU or whatever. And Donny goes down with a season-ending cramp. And he's down on the ground, and you hear the commentators, and they're just like, you never want to see this. This is just terrible. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, like, oh, he's up. It was a bad cramp.
Yeah, it was a bad cramp.
I remember there, like the bands around. Donnie gets back to the sideline. He goes back down there, stretch it out. The bands like around him, they're yelling at him, like, "Get up!" Oh, my only comeback. I was standing right there. I'm like, "You're in the band. Shut up."
Yeah, we need some more Rid stories. All the fans in the chat are asking about some good Rid stories when he got mad or any funny stories about him.
Rid was always like
Pretty even keel.
What you see is what you get, and that's, as a player, that's kind of what you want. Like, you don't want a coach that's just gonna go off the handle like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We might have a few stories.
We certainly gave him a lot of opportunities to do that. And I personally did. We had a fullback, Brad Lau, that he probably still. I think he still lives in Boise, and he was a great guy. But he went on a mission.
If anybody's seen the Incredible Hulk movies, Brad.
Yeah, Brad Lau, and I would always just be chipping at Brad. Just that's what I did. And Rid had every opportunity to be like, hey, you leave this guy alone. But he kind of would just, let me kind of do my thing, which was pretty funny.
We'd all sit back waiting for Brad.
But one time I can't remember where we were. And Brad was going to kill me. And Rid told me to shut up. And so, but I think that's the only time Rid ever really yelled at me. So.
Yeah, that was the day he, I think, like hit the grease board.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, that was it.
Rid was just a guy you could count on, right? I can remember we'd go over to dinner at his house, and Cameron would cook, and we'd spend a lot of time outside of the football complex with him and his family, and I think that was important, right? That was important for us to see the kind of dad he was. And how he managed that time. So that was always cool. And, we would have fun. We'd tell our stories, and then Rid would be like, all right, zip it. It's time to let's watch film. Let's get to work.
Fun time's over. Lock it up.
Over, right?
Speaking of coming to dinner at the house, I remember one time had dinner at the house. Everybody comes over. Everybody's like dressed nice. Donnie's like, probably your second year, so you were 19. Donnie showed up with like a nice bottle of wine.
He was trying to get some more playing time.
He's like, Mrs. Riddle, here you go. She's like, you're like 19? How to get that?
Sounds about right.
Just took it from his mom, maybe.
Don't even worry about it.
That's
probably
good.
worked. I mean, we got him player of the week.
Yeah, right. Damn right.
Yeah, it was like you said, this was like my original guys. So it was such a cool deal, and we've obviously all done a great job of staying in touch and being around each other. It really is sad that, not sad. Wish D Mike and even Stroh could have come up. And trust me, I know like Stroh would have dropped everything to be here.
Yeah.
But it's like I think we had other guys that were there for a while. Brad, Dollar,
There's a whole D word.
Antoine, D-word, Feminez, Deuces.
Yeah.
Last time we ever saw Feminez, like guys literally like end of the year, we practiced
We had a couple days off for
Thanksgiving morning, I think. Which there was other stuff happened that night, but practice, like everybody's cutting out to go home. You know, like literally 2 homes for Thanksgiving. You guys are like, hey, like we'll see you later. Never saw him again, ever.
Right.
He might have left his clothes and everything.
Got a couple voicemails, like randomly, like 3 years later. But yeah,
from the time of like my freshman year, I'm not joking. There was, you know, guys like Marty Johnson, David Stallworth, like, you know, the list goes on. Like the attrition rate of people for one reason or another didn't make it. You know, they got homesick, couldn't cut it in school, got in trouble. Like, you know, when I look at my career, like the fact that I even made it to be like a starter, like it's kind of an anomaly. Like, you know, I wouldn't have ever predicted it. Like when I walked on, you know, or even like coming out of like high school, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to play college football and then go on to play in the NFL. Like my junior year, I wouldn't have said like, I'm going to play in the NFL. And then,
that's a great thing about coaches. We actually kind of thought that was probably going to happen. Like we should make sure
you guys had a big part of it. Like, but yeah, I was like, but yeah, there was a lot of guys, you know, throughout that time that came and went. And, you know, you do have a core group of guys like, you know, Donny, Greg, David Michael, Matt Strophus, that, you know, those are the guys that stuck through it, made it work, and helped, you know, build a winning program.
And I really think about that, like going all the way back, like that group, RD, certainly the O-line group, Scooter, Navas, Rob Vine,
Cloud,
Cheeks,
Dougie Fresh,
Cheeks,
and then on the defensive side, you know, Hammer, Dane,
Quentin Michael,
Paul Allen, Andy,
Gabe Franklin.
Corey, you know, Gabe Franklin. Like, if you want to see like where things turn, like you had those 20, 25 guys or whatever, and like that was the core of a lot of things that continued on here. And I think I really do. I think it can be traced back to that, and like how those guys worked and prepared. And you know, you guys all know RD, like that guy was like, he ran the offense, right?
He was a fierce competitor.
He was a savage.
Yeah, right.
You
know,
know,
talk about that Fresno State game. I can remember him yelling at their defense, right? Like, I'm going to ram it down your throat.
Guys that could squash him.
Yeah. So,
yeah. But I mean, not just like during games, but like the whole offseason plan. Like that's where everything changed at Boise State, and getting all that and then growing it into what it's become to, which is a long time. But you know, Riley, somebody's worried, like, how are you doing? Because we kind of left you out.
Hey, it's
I know, right? We've been talking the whole time.
This is what I like doing, like bringing guys on and being able to just hear your guys' experience. It's
but
cool
you can talk about like even some of the things you've seen just finishing in terms of maybe not specific, like, but just how like the summer, you know, guys hanging out together and working hard together, you know, on and off the field.
It's cool too, because it was similar. We didn't get paid over the summer, so it was like you're trying to stretch the money you do have, and like that was a fun experience too, because you're with your boys. And my favorite memories from playing was doing decks on Fridays, and then we would jump in the river. Something that kind of started on way back then, and so we'd jump in the river, and then we'd go back to somebody's house and just have like yard games and being able to drink on Friday and get the different sports teams in town because they were the only people on campus. So it was like that bonding moment. We would be running through decks just like talking about, hey, after this we get to go party together.
That's
and
what
like,
got you through, right?
It got you through it. And it was like
your buddy next to you is throwing up, maybe putting your hand in it.
Right. Like all that was so fun, and PRPs, like the player run practices we did, like all those memories were so awesome.
That's one of the things that's probably too bad. You guys could speak way more to that, but now everything's so coach involved.
Yeah, that is tough.
That you know, like the PRPs, that used to literally be the the players.
Right.
And now it's, basically.
It was probably smart because we got in trouble with. Were you here with Avalos?
I was not.
It was the year right after. So we had a PRP, and one of the old guys that played here, we were at the Eagle Rodeo, and he was like, next PRP you guys do, you need to you guys should do crossover Bronco ball or something. He's like, that's what we used to do back in the day, just tear up the script and just have fun with the boys. So we did that, thinking it was going to be a good idea, and it was not. And all the coaches are up there not looking through the window, but they see me playing linebacker, and
What
they're like,
are
what
these
the
jackasses
hell
doing?
is going on right now? And so the next day was Dex, and they told us we were going to go run Camel's Back. Did you guys have to do that back in the day? No. So we would run Camel's Back, and it was hard because you'd start at the bottom. It was just dirt trying to run up it, but it wasn't as bad as running 18 decks. So we were like, all right, we got kind of a Friday off. This is going to be nice. So they load the buses up. We start driving to Camel's Back Park, and I'm already starting to take a nap. And I feel us kind of take another turn. So I felt us go all around, and they parked us right outside of the student union building and made us get out and sprint back to the blue and just get in warm-up lines to run decks again. And just cussed us out for doing some bullshit on a PRP, so we had to go back up
this is player run
crush decks. I was like, we're running. This is our script. But that was a good memory too, because it was we were like, oh shit, this is not what we thought was about.
So much of it's a mind game, right?
Yeah.
You had your mindset, what you were going to do, and then
and then the best part was we killed it. That was probably the best deck session. Everybody was in their head about it, but you go up and you attack it, and that was fun though. But that was definitely some mind games that they were trying to break us.
I wanted to ask you, so out of high school, you were a quarterback, and then you came to BSU.
Yeah.
Did you come as a quarterback, or did they recruit you as a tight end?
Yeah, no, I came as a quarterback and played quarterback for 2 years. And when Hank Bachmeyer came in, this was the year after Brett Rippon left. So I had 1 year with Brett, and then it was kind of free for all. So we had a lot of good quarterbacks like Chase Cord and Jalen Henderson who played. Mm-hmm. And then Hank obviously came in and won the job. So I was kind of doing the signals as a backup quarterback, and they brought me in the office. They're like, you want to play some kind of tight end, wide receiver just for fun instead of just being on the sideline? I was like, sure, I'm all about at least trying it, because in that point I was like, do I transfer and try to go play QB somewhere else? But for me, I loved all the guys I was with, and I loved Boise, so I didn't want to get out of here. So found a way to just get on the field, and there was a whole year where I was quarterback and tight end. So it'd be we're doing routes on air and passing where I'm throwing a ball and then I'm going to run it with the tight end. So it was fun. It was backyard football again. All the stress of being a freshman quarterback was kind of off my shoulders, and got to just play. It felt like pickup football. And then I got into the tight end room a little more, and I was like, oh, these are my people. Yeah. This is fun. I'm we had Stoney and G5 and John Bates. I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. So then it kind of just, that COVID year was kind of the first year where I fully moved over and had a good group and learned a lot from John Bates, who was the guy at the time. And so just kind of from there, I didn't want to leave and just ran with it. Yeah. So
no, I remember watching you play, and you balled out, your junior, senior year.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. But going from a quarterback to a tight end, that's it's a different transition. You typically don't see.
I know. I was prima donna QB because that's all I played my whole life. So,
but that's a testament to you, right? Like we were talking about earlier, everybody's so quick to transfer anymore, right? And you wanted to stick it out, and you find any way you can to help the team. And I think that's the sad thing that I think college football is losing a little bit of. I still think Boise State does a great job. I mean, look how many guys stayed this year, didn't transfer, enter the portal, and that says a lot about this program. Right?
And it's not for money, because there's a lot of guys on the team. Everybody talks about Ashton like he could have got more money to go wherever. There's a lot of other guys that could have got more money. Mm-hmm. And it's just a special thing. It's really cool to be a part of. And, it's cool for us and for me especially, to get you guys back here and try and let other people in on that stuff. And it's, it's not just the offense. It's not just a position group. It's the whole thing. I know how close you guys are with all the different guys. Andy, Corey, Paul, Dane, Hammer, everybody. I saw Quentin Michael a couple months ago. Like all that stuff. It's a cool place to be a part of, and I think that goes underappreciated until you're a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I get it. Like, I mean, if somebody rolls in here and offers the next running back $2 million because they think like he's going to be Ashton Genty, which maybe he will, maybe he won't. Who knows? But maybe that guy takes $2 million. I mean, everybody's got a price, right?
Sure.
And we can all pretend like we don't, but the reality of it is everybody does. And to play football, not for other things. Okay, let's be honest. Yeah, that's a little different. But until you're a part of it, it's really hard to appreciate all the different things you can be a part of. And some of the best times of my life I spent with you guys in a meeting room, on a field, whatever, playing. I mean, I'm trying to think wherever, but we had a lot of good times. And I include Riley in that, and Alec and Jake Rowe and JD.
Yeah, but they weren't as cool as we were, right?
Well, Cameron actually said, you guys are the OGs.
She did.
I will say this, you guys probably know some of the other guys. That Garrett, I mean, those guys are freaking
I'm sure.
good time too.
Yeah. For sure.
We weren't high maintenance running back group. So
no.
It was pretty cool. And I wouldn't say that anybody else has been high maintenance running back group here either. But there was a lot of correlation between the tight ends and the crew we had. So.
Oh yeah, I can tell already just hanging out with you guys. I was like,
yeah, we would have gotten along well with you.
No doubt.
What just kind of we can move towards wrapping this up. I'm sure it'll take a little bit, but kind of your guys' thoughts on. I think the last thing we'll ask is kind of Brock, just your thoughts on being the Hall of Fame. We'll save that for a minute, but want to make sure we come back to that. But just your thoughts on the current Bronco team. Like, you don't have to make predictions. You don't have, like, none of that, but just your thoughts on watching
all the way.
Come on.
No.
I mean, I'm fresh out, so I've played with a lot of those boys and know how much work they go into it. And like, there's a lot of guys that were walk-ons, like Alexander Tubner. He was a walk-on coming in from Seaside, Oregon, and now he's our team captain. And it's like, that's what Boise State's built off of, like you guys talked about. And so there's so many guys that are like really exemplify the blue collar and like want to win. And then Coach D's just that coach that's like there to push guys to be the most successful person and player they can be. So I think all around they're having fun. They're playing with a lot of swagger, which is cool to see. Like I've been to a bunch of games this year, and being as a fan, being able to see it from the sidelines and how much fun they've been having is kind of what I think has kind of pushed them towards having such a good season this year. Because there's talent every single year, but seeing how they're bonding and like just enjoying the game and going in every day, preparing and dominating has been awesome. So I'm with you all the way.
I know you were at the game Friday night, and it was close, but in the stands, I was there also. I've never had a feel like, this could go the other way.
Not at all.
As soon as UNLV went ahead, it was like, we're about to drive down and score.
Yeah. It was fun. The fans are fun up there, especially sitting with the families. It's kind of cool because like I was sitting by like all my boys' parents and getting to talk with them, and they're intense up there for sure. Like they're talking shit like they're at Fresno. They're yelling, they're having a good time. It was like it's fun being up in the stands and being a fan with those guys. So it's cool to watch the guys go.
It's a gritty group, right? Like they love being in a dogfight, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure.
For some years, maybe they get down on themselves in the past and maybe rolled over. I feel like this group, they've got a lot of fight in them, right? And it's fun to watch, and you kind of notice that. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. That last drive was a hell of a drive, right? I mean, to sustain that
8 minutes
and run that clock, yeah. I mean, that was impressive. And defense is playing good. I mean,
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're all. I think they're just playing well as a team. I mean, the special teams. I mean, came up big last week. There weren't so many big plays, but that'd have been UNLV's deal, right? To create big plays on special teams, and they gave them no chances to do that.
Sure.
So you take another team's one of their strengths away, that all of a sudden becomes a strength for you. And I think they're fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that the UNLV game for sure was like the UNLV defensive people. They were like, we are going to load this box and we are going to hit the shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
Every single chance we can. We're going to make it very, very hard for him. And they did. You could tell from the very beginning. But guess what? That opens up everything else. Mm-hmm. And Ashton's obviously going to get up and do it again and bang on him some more. And then it's going to open up. And our receivers they're big, they're fast, they're really, really good. So it really is like put 9 guys, put 10 guys in the box. It's not going to matter. And then when they do start to spread things out again, we're going to give it back to Genty, and he's going to get another rip.
Yeah. Yep. They're just really fun to watch. We have really good depth right now. I mean, that always changes a little bit. We talked about some running backs being down a little bit, and they really haven't missed a beat, and they've missed some receivers here and there. And I think the O-line for sure, the D-line, and that was definitely one of Andy's deals here, was to build up the lines, and you can see that. And it's funny because everybody gets all like this is a linear thing, and there's a lot of ups and downs along the course of things that put us where we're at today. And they're just a really fun team to watch. They're really deep, and it's been a process going all the way back to when Dirk was the head coach to get us to this point where we got a chance to be in a championship. And Riley, you guys can all speak to this, but one of the things, I think the first championship we had a chance to win, like everybody's like, oh my God, you do this, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, we can't go that far. Like, all we can control is what we're going to do this week, and all the other crap. And I thought that was something we learned to block out early, and maybe because it just didn't even matter that much. But it was that probably 2002 season, because the 2001 season, we figured out we lost a couple games, and then a bunch of crap broke the wrong way, and we didn't get into a bowl game. And the next year it was like, well, we can't control all the other outside stuff, but we can certainly control what we do every week. And other than Arkansas, it went pretty good.
Yeah, it's last year, especially when we lost to Fresno State at Fresno, it was I think we had a 0.01% chance to make it to the championship. And I think we had dinner at Ritt's house, right? It was me and Billy went over, and Cameron was like, you guys are going to win the championship. Just stay in it. And me and Bill are kind of down because it was our 6th year. We all came back to win a championship, and now it seems like it's out of reach. And Cameron was just like, no, you guys are going to win. And so shout out to her for kind of keeping us in it. And then Coach D was just like, cookies. Yeah, I think it was the cookies that actually helped us. But it was Coach D was just 1 week at a time. This is your opportunity. Even if we don't go to a championship, don't even focus on that. You have another week to play college football before you're done. So that was kind of all of our focus. We didn't think about any other games going on or making it to the championship. It was just one more week with your best friends playing the sport you love. And it just kind of worked out. Some crazy stuff happened for us to get there.
Right.
But
some of that stuff you can't control, right? Sometimes the chips fall a certain way, and as long as you stay the course, right?
Yeah.
And it worked out well last year.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's a big part of this team that carried over.
The worst thing in football is worrying about stuff you can't.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing that, you're not worrying about stuff you can. And as dumb as it sounds, how we're picking up 8-man pressure against Hawaii is a lot bigger deal than who's going to win the La Tech and whoever the hell they might be playing. I mean, I'll say this: these guys were awesome pass protectors, so shouldn't let that go away.
Hey, if you wanted to play, you had to pass protect.
That's right.
You weren't getting on the
Otherwise,
field.
Pat and go Dinwiddie would have thrown it in the stands, and you would have had to chase it if you didn't protect him.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, you've never seen anything as funny as Pat go on a Thursday.
I would love that.
It was pure comedy. We were still at Shells at that point, and Dinwiddie's just launching them. Swenny actually handled it pretty good. Stroh used to get so bad.
It didn't bother me, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny though,
Stroh
because
wanted to
The one
slash his
day,
tires, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. Because when I switched to tight end, I was, like I said, doing the pat and goes as a quarterback, then getting in line. And when I would throw to all the tight ends, they were like, don't you dare throw this anywhere but my face mask. And if I missed them by a little bit and made them work any harder, they got pissed off at me. But I should have done that. That sounds
You're
way
really
more
talking
fun.
about Pistone.
Pistone, the fullback.
Right. Well,
of
and
course.
we would take chances like in pat and go. It'd be you'd do like a little move, a hand move, or something like that. Well, there'd be guys out there joking around. Somebody do a hand move and a spin move, and then like 7 jukes, and then run down the field. And they'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Working on my jukes.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we can finish it up. Brock, just what you're feeling about the Hall of Fame on Saturday night. I'm sure you'll be on the field at some point Friday. They'll probably announce it. I think the two football guys are you and Clady.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor. Like my girls would ask me, they'd be like, Dad, how come you're not in the Hall of Fame? I'm like, well, I don't get to choose those things. But ultimately, I mean, it ended up happening. And DC was the one that actually called me and let me know. He's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's pretty amazing. So it's, like I said, I mean, it's a huge honor. It's something that, you'll always be a part of. I got a bunch of friends and family in town, so we're gonna celebrate it and have a good time. And I'm excited.
You're damn right we are.
Yeah, we'll have a little fun with that one. Yeah, it is probably a little overdue in my opinion. There's some other guys from those times. I don't know what the exact qualifications are, but certainly would love to see Quentin get in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out, but yeah, Chenard, RD. Like I said, I'm not sure what the qualifications are, but
maybe an American passport.
Yeah, I mean, but hope that happens. And shoot, I even see this. I'd love to see Dirk and Pete and Hawk and like all those guys get in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're part of the coaching tree that kind of helped lay the groundwork for this program. And, obviously Spencer's taken it to, he's continued the legacy of keeping a, winning tradition, and he's got the team going in the right trajectory. And it's about all you can ask.
Absolutely. Riley, any closing thoughts? Anybody else? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah. Big game this week on Friday, so we'll see everyone out there.
Let's go.
Sure.
Yeah, super. Just want to say super proud of Brock. Well deserved, right? It was fun. I think, speak for Donny too. We had a blast being a part of it, right? And
all of us.
all of us.
I think the whole team. I think. I know Matt Navis has got a table with a whole bunch of the O-line.
Heck yeah,
Coming
nice.
Saturday. Unfortunately, I know he tried to actually even get Scoot to come back, and he's a little busy.
Yeah, he's just busy coaching in the NFL. Like, can't make time for that.
No, I know that's a big deal. Like, I don't want to take your thunder, but I want to echo it. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just happy to be a part of it, and not take credit for it, but just be a part of that. This is a big deal, and I hope you feel that. I know how you are, so you probably don't nearly as much, but
yeah, I mean, like if you would have told me coming out of high school that, I would have had the career that I did in college. I would have been like, you're nuts. If you had told me in college that I was going to be able to go on and play in the NFL, I would have said, you're nuts. It just kind of happened organically. It wasn't like something where I was like, as a kid, like, my goal is to play college football, play in the NFL. It just kind of put my head down and worked, and, it all worked out.
Just a little scrapper for Meridian.
That's right.
What we got right here. That's what we have.
Being pushed by Donny.
That's right.
Not a second of talent, not an ounce of speed.
Hey, give us one good Forsey story. No, just from the last few years, because I know you got it.
It's probably not.
No. Like Brock's like about his athletic ability.
About his athletic ability?
Yeah. So everybody like looks at Brock and thinks like, oh, this guy can't be a great athlete.
There was a time we were maybe hanging by a pool when we were, back in the day, pretty jacked up and everything. And, I maybe with my shirt off looked a little better, a little bigger, a little more like an NFL guy. And they were like, oh, so, you play for the Bears? And I'm like, well, as a matter of fact, it's funny you say that. I'm like, actually, that's him. Like, oh, really? I'm like, oh yeah, no, he is. And so that's.
I was thinking way more recent than that. What'd you rep 225 out at?
Oh, there you go. So that was probably.
And I only know this because Donny was.
Oh gosh.
Sent me the video.
That was probably about 8 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
I did it 24. I don't know if I could do it 4 times now.
24 times. What'd you do coming out of college?
20.
Yeah, Pitt. Take that.
Right?
That's right. I know.
No training for 20 years.
What swinging floor does for you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey,
Awesome.
Thanks, guys, and congrats to Brock, but congrats to all you guys because I know what part you guys played in this. And,
Absolutely.
Like I said, the other guys couldn't be with us tonight. So
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hey,
Well,
it's an honor to have you guys up.
you guys are welcome here anytime. And next time we'll ask other stories. Maybe we'll
We'll do the behind the scenes podcast.
Talk about the spring break trip.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard about those too. All right.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all we got.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you guys again.
You betcha.
Go Broncos.
Gotta go Broncos.
Go
Beat
Broncos.
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.